This is Becky at Hello Gorgeous Salon. It's time to get that new look started. Let's get rid of those sun-damaged ends and faded out color and get into something rich and vibrant. Humidity is not your hair's friend. It causes your hair to capture moisture and leaves it looking dry and unhealthy. Hello Gorgeous is a certified Brazilian blowout salon. We can tame those locks, leaving your hair healthy and shiny with a Brazilian smoothing treatment. So let us help you make a great first impression. Call us today to set your appointment at Hello Gorgeous. Our number is 352-351-5358. Again, that's 352-351-5358. And don't forget, we also do men and children's cuts too. 351-5358. Hello Gorgeous is conveniently located in the heart of downtown Ocala. So call today and set up your appointment at Hello Gorgeous Salon at 351-5358. That's 351-5358.
Hello Gorgeous.
People ask me why I've worked at Palm Garden for so long, and I tell them it's the people. I love to hear the life stories, especially those from the greatest generation. Celebrating life stories is what sets Palm Garden apart, finding out what's important to them. And I love being a resource. Like Macy's Santa, if I can't help, I'll send them to Gimbel's. After all, Palm Garden is located on 34th Street. I'm Jan from Palm Garden. Call me and let's chat. 854-6262.
Now you did it. Are you completely insane? He's back. He, who must not be named. The man, the myth, the only guy in Ocala to eat his own weight in fried pickles. Twice. Now, you asked for it. Sorta. Live and in person. It's Tom Schmitz.
Welcome back to Ocala Talks. Let's go out to the phone lines and talk about something that a lot of people don't really know that they even have options with, and that's the birth of a child. It's a joyous occasion most of the time, but for families of more than 150,000 American babies, they're born with a birth defect every year. Some of the causes are still unknown to what cause these birth defects, and people aren't even aware that there are available treatments that you can do, some of them in the womb. On the phone line with us is Dr. Scott Adzick. He's the Surgeon-in-Chief at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and is the director of the Hospital Center for Fetal Diagnosis and Treatment. Dr. Adzick, good morning to you. I was not aware that there was things you could do pre-birth to help with birth defects. So thanks for joining us to give us this information.
Well, I'm pleased to be here with you.
How many babies each year? They say about 150,000 Americans each year. Is that number growing or is that number decreasing?
Well, the big view is that this month, in perspective, is Birth Defects Awareness Month. So it's good to talk about birth defects, which are incredibly common. 1 in every 33 babies is born with a birth defect, either genetic or anatomic. So they're common. Defects are costly. Billions of dollars are required for medical treatment. They're merciless. Birth defects, no parent is immune. Serious, most causes of birth defects are unknown. Overlooked, in my view, research is underfunded, and most importantly, birth defects are deadly, leading cause of infant mortality in the U.S. and worldwide. And as you mentioned, each year nearly 150,000 babies are born in the U.S. with birth defects, many with conditions so rare, most parents and even some clinicians have never heard of them. So I'm glad that we have a chance to talk about birth defects and ways we can treat them during and after birth.
I have a very good friend of mine who, during his time in his mother's womb, his left arm was pinned in a certain way that it did not get circulation, so his left arm didn't develop fully in the womb the way the rest of his appendages developed. And that's just one of the thousands of birth defects that can happen to people. What types of conditions can be helped because you say you do surgery in the womb. Is that something that could have been corrected maybe with surgery in the womb, getting his arm where it wasn't pinched like that so it would develop in the womb instead of not being developed when he was born?
It's very likely that your friend was a victim of amniotic band syndrome, in which, for a variety of reasons, like a clothesline band is there in the uterus, and it can wrap around the umbilical cord, which can be fatal. wrap around an extremity, and then since it can pinch off the circulation, as you mentioned, that can lead to atrophy of the limb. So it is possible with fetoscopy, and we've done this before, to go in with a tiny scope and then use fetoscopic scissors to cut that band. So that is quite possible, and we have done that successfully, albeit it's rare.
How rare is... Go ahead.
Each week at CHOP, we do complicated fetal surgery procedures for spina bifida, for urinary tract obstruction, for congenital diaphragmatic hernia, for certain types of congenital heart disease. The most common operation we do is for twins. It's called twin-twin transfusion syndrome, where there are identical twins in the uterus, of course, in separate amniotic sacs, but they share the same placenta, which is the hookup between the baby and the mother. Usually a twin will have its own placenta, but in this case there's a shared placenta, and there's a circulatory imbalance due to culprit blood vessels such that one twin gets too much blood from the mother and develops congestive heart failure, and the other twin doesn't have enough blood from the mother and develops kidney failure, and those twins will go on to die unless we put in a fetoscope, a tiny scope, into the uterus, visualize the placenta, and then use a laser fiber to fulgurate or to occlude the culprit blood vessels, in most cases with salvage saving of both twins, or in at least one of the two twins. So that's an operation we do 2 or 3 times every week, for example. Worldwide, there have been, I roughly estimate, maybe 8,000 fetal surgeries performed. We've done about a quarter of them. We've done by far the most of any center in the United States.
What's
the world.
What's the expected outcome for babies who undergo these types of surgeries?
Well, it's for twin-twin transfusion, as I mentioned, we can save both twins in the vast majority of cases, so that's a miracle. For birth defects such as spina bifida, which is devastating but not truly life or death, we're doing the operation to protect the developing spinal cord, which is exposed to the amniotic fluid environment, which is quite toxic. And if not treated before birth, those are the children that have brain damage, may have brain damage, require a shunt tube to drain fluid from the brain due to hydrocephalus, and won't be able to walk or have good motor function of the leg. So if we do the operation before birth, and we've done more than 400 of these, then we can ameliorate or prevent some of those deleterious effects and have a child who has a better chance to walk, having a shunt tube, and so on and so forth.
What do you think is the future, the down-the-road prognosis of fetal surgery?
Well, I think that we'll be doing more and more of this, and we've trained many people here at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia who have started centers around the U.S. and around the world. I think the future is going to be cellular therapy, gene therapy, and the artificial womb. Let me explain. For cellular therapy, it may be possible, after 3 decades of experimental work, treat diseases such as sickle cell anemia early in gestation before birth by taking blood cell-forming stem cells from one of the parents and transfusing that to the pre-immune early gestation fetus with the disease. Those normal cells engraft and take over the missing function of the sickle cell. So that holds promise, and we hope to do that clinically soon. That work is done by my colleague, Dr. Alan Flake. For fetal gene therapy or gene editing, another colleague of mine, Dr. William Peranto, is doing fetal gene editing for single gene disorders, again in animal models, and we hope that one day that'll be able to treat diseases such as cystic fibrosis before birth, and there will be many advantages to that, treating it before birth. We're also doing work actively in the artificial womb in animal models and fetal sheep with the clinical view is that some babies born 23, 24, 25 weeks gestation come out way too soon with a high death rate, and if they survive, a high complication rate. So if we could just give them a life-saving bridge for 3, 4, 5, 6 more weeks by connecting them after birth through the umbilical cord to a lung oxygenator, putting them in an intrauterine environment in a biobag. We hope to launch clinical studies soon to see how how we can help those babies who come out much too soon.
Got about a minute and a half left. We're talking with Dr. Adzick. He is the surgeon-in-chief at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, talking about babies and birth defects. How's the COVID-19 pandemic affected your care of these families and these babies?
Well, of course, the COVID-19 pandemic is a big deal for healthcare in the U.S. and in the world, but we've not missed a beat as far as what we've done. When the pandemic first started last March, April, May, June, many hospitals in the U.S. stopped performing fetal surgeries, but we didn't. So we would take those referrals from those centers that had been shut down. We have extensive protocols in place to keep our patients, our families, and our safe. And we're in the midst of the vaccination program, and by the end of this month, we anticipate that all 18,000 employees at CHOP who want to have the vaccine will have the vaccine. And as of now, our entire fetal surgery team has been through the two-shot vaccination process. So that's just a miracle.
Where can my listeners, doctor, if they want to find out more information, where's a good place for them to go to find out more?
Probably our website, and that would be fetal surgery, one word, .chop, CHOP.edu. So fetalsurgery.chop.edu.
Dr. Scott Adzick, he's the surgeon-in-chief at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia and is the director of the hospital Center for Fetal Diagnosis and Treatment. Doctor, thanks for taking time out with us this morning.
It's a pleasure being with you. Thank you.
We're going to take a short time out. On the other side, we got some stories to talk about here in our hometown. Plus, there's a legacy walk going on today. We'll talk about that as well. 1370 AM, 96.3 FM. I'm Tom Schmitz coming to you live from WOCA, The Source.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
USA Radio News with Lance Pride.
10 House Republicans joined Democrats to impeach President Trump on charges of incitement of an insurrection on Wednesday. The final vote was 232 to 197. Former federal prosecutor Doug Burns tells Fox News the realities of impeaching a former president.
The principal penalty per the Constitution is removal from office. So you can only imagine the average person scratching their head saying, wait a minute, this is to remove him from office, but he's already out of office. Now that he's impeached, he can't run again and so on. So the law is that in order for that to happen, the president has to be convicted by the 67 senator votes first. Then it's an ancillary or additional penalty of disqualification.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell told Republican colleagues Wednesday that he has not made a final decision on how he will vote on impeachment and that the proceedings will not begin until after the inauguration. This is USA Radio News.
When thinking about life insurance, my accident reinforced you never know what tomorrow might bring. That's why I reached out to AccuQuote. AccuQuote helps people find a life insurance policy that meets their needs. Since 1986, they've helped millions of folks save up to 60% on their life insurance by comparing the rates and features of dozens of top-rated life insurance products. A healthy 50-year-old non-smoker can buy $500,000 of 10-year level term for less than $45 a month. A 60-year-old under $120 a month. Longer or permanent terms are available. Even if you already own life insurance, you really